Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. L.A.R movement still moving. This particular topic, as you can see by the title, the downside of all these agendas. And I'm not just going to talk about the agendas that we're accustomed to hearing. What's up, George? I'm going to talk about a lot of the agendas that's going on in general, because what winds up happening is there's a downside to it. And everybody and all these different agendas, there's a similarity with this idea that, let it play out. Don't push back against it, because, you pushing back against somebody's agenda is detrimental or somehow hurtful to them as a particular person or group. What's going on, Booker T? So now I'm looking at it like, okay, with all of these agendas and their talking points, the first thing is first that they all have in common. The other thing that they all have in common is they don't want to say that they have an agenda, but their actions play out that they have an agenda. What's up, Mike? So the first one is, the downside of the agendas in parenting, since we talk about family and traditionalism. What's up, mister? So the downside of that agenda is, what we notice is it's a gender war with parenting, and it puts a child in the middle of, they have to pick a side between either or. What's good, JJ? So they have to pick a side between either or. You got your child in the middle. So the downside of this agenda with when it comes to parenting is, somebody wants to win, somebody wants to lose. And it's not that somebody wants to be right, or prove the other person wrong even. It's just somebody wants to win and somebody wants to lose. So to fulfill your agenda, what you're going to do is you're going to try to poison a well, and the well will probably be your child or children. You know what I'm saying? So that's a problem. How you doing, Bennett? So now we in this state where you got a bunch of children, adults, and even grandparents, and maybe even young grandparents, who are realizing, who can spot the downside of that agenda when you're trying to turn a child against a parent for your own benefit. And you're realizing now as adults that, what's going on. Now you got children who become adults who have no one they can trust, and they don't want to trust anybody because they've been hurt by either one or two of the people that are most close to them, which is their parents. And then they had a support system for the parent who won, and a support system for the family who lost. And now you have adults fishing through the reality. Cool, man. What's up, America? How you doing? So now the downside of this agenda when parenting is, you wanted to win so bad, or you wanted to make the other person look so bad, you went to extremes, to the point that the children wind up becoming parents, and either they wind up repeating that same cycle and thinking what they're doing is okay until they come to a realization as adults that, wait a minute, this is dead wrong, but now I'm doing it. And they could be accustomed to it and think it's nothing wrong with it until they start getting pushback, because you're going to get pushback regardless. Or they wind up divorcing themselves from doing that altogether, because as adults, they realize one parent had an agenda and the other one, one parent had an agenda and their agenda was this. And now as an adult and you become a parent, you're like, I'm not doing that to my kid. I'm not playing all these games and putting my child in the way, or using my child as a weapon, or using my child as a pawn. See, the downside of that agenda is, at the end of the day, there are a lot of grandparents who parents do not, who their children when they became parents, don't want their parents around their children. Let me slow it down and say this right. There are a lot of kids who became parents that don't want their parents to be grandparents because they were horrible parents and because they always had an agenda, or they spent the bulk of their time in the parenting role having an agenda and using the child as a weapon within their agenda. So now we have an issue. How you doing, Poke Dog? For y'all to know, I'm trying to do the shout outs a little bit cooler because sometimes I threw off the flow. So now nobody looks at the downside that you got grandparents that don't want to be that will not be allowed in their grandchildren's lives. Then you got grandparents who they just pushing the kids off on, just like they got pushed off on to their grandparents. So they only think it's natural. Then you got parents who, for all intents and purposes, are always in the middle of something because all they know how to do is stir up drama and use children. And then the biggest downside of all is you got children who don't wind up respecting these adults because they realize the games that in the agendas are childish in nature. So that you have children who are more sophisticated and more mature than their parents and their other predecessors. You know what I'm saying? Belly, I know, fam. What's up? I'm gonna be there. Now the second, downside, the second agenda that's gonna have that's having a huge downside. Feminism, of course. I was listening to a sister on Dr. Tia Johnson's channel. Check it out if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't. And she was saying, when she was younger, she didn't realize the feminist agenda was so heavy because at one particular point, she didn't want to cook when she was a young girl because she didn't want to be oppressed by a man. That was her reasoning, right? What's happening with you, Keith? That was her reasoning. So the downside, one of the downsides she spoke of is when women take on feminism and their ideologies and their talking points, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, because some women don't even know that they're feminists because it's so ingrained in the culture. Not only did they not learn how to cook, so they won't be oppressed and won't take care of a man, they also didn't learn how to cook and they didn't learn how to take care of themselves. See, part of this obesity, because the lady was talking about obesity. She said part of the obesity is attributed to those same women eating out all the time, eating quick meals or fast food or TV dinners and so on and so forth. So they don't really take care of themselves physically because guess what? They don't do anything. Now, there's other downsides to that ideology, with feminism, right? And one of the big ones is this selective equality that men are not trying to hear anymore. If you want to be equal, cool. You're going to be equal all the way. All the way. Now you want to be equal when you can make money, and then you want to be a woman who's taking a kept woman when it's time to spend money. So now the downside of the agenda is people look at you like what? An opportunist. People look at these situations when interacting with women, the minute that a guy might feel like or think that she has a feminist mindset or she is a feminist or she operates on feminist ideology, I don't trust you because you're an opportunist. 1 minute you're gonna be pro woman, the next minute you're gonna be pro this, but the thing you always gonna be is anti-man. See, the downside of feminism, it became anti-man. So guess what? Men are not going to participate in something that is anti-man. So now you got a lot of ladies who are really, really, you got women who want family and want to be women and who are not anti-man, but they're surrounded by women who are anti-man. So, if y'all remember that old Muhammad Ali interview, and he said, look, if it was 10,000 rattlesnakes coming down a hill, and I knew 1,000 of those rattlesnakes were good and they wouldn't bite me. Am I supposed to just, hope those 1,000 make a little shield and come under the door and I close it at the right time? Or should I just close the door altogether because of the other 9,000 are trying to bite me? So that's the ideology with men. Like, guys are like, look, y'all figure that out. That's on y'all end. And now because of that agenda, it's forcing women to be everything that they say they were. Anything that I can do, you can do better. Well, you're gonna have to show me. You just as good as a man at everything. You just gonna have to show me. What if you need help? You don't need help. You're equal. You're just as good as a man at anything. How you doing, David? You're just as good as a man at anything. So now you're gonna have to show me. Oh, you're not sleeping as much. That's not my problem. You working too much overtime. That's not my problem. See, now you got to stand on all these things and ideologies. Oh, you went to school and you got an education. You got a bachelor's. You got a PhD. You got a master's. You got a master's. You got massive debt. That's not my problem. Because guess what? Now you got to fulfill your agenda. What's happening? Well. So now you got to fulfill your agenda. And now that the weight of that's the downside of that agenda is the weight of that agenda is crumbling down on the very group that wanted it so badly. And now some of those women are looking for an out. They're so anti-man. They want to be with a woman who wants to be a man, but she's still a woman. But she still wants. But those women don't want to have the role of a man, but they want to be just like a man. Very much so confusing. How you doing, Lando? Now, of course, with the gay agenda, there's a downside to that. Of course, we see the D-Wade situation, and I kind of kick back and relax because I did a video about both things. One about when Gabrielle Union took him to that parade, and the other about, okay, when D-Wade co-signed everything, what's happening with your Goshen? And how you doing, Keyshawn? So now I kind of look at it like, yeah, it's an agenda, but there's a downside to it. And the downside to it, and I heard Edward on the panel today, Edward Anderson. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. He had a panel, and they were doing reviewing a talk show. I think it's out here in Houston. Dennis was on it. Salute to Dennis. And one of the people kept talking about, the kids' feelings. This is not about parenting. This is about feelings. And, I got friends who are actually in the gay community, and they talk about feelings and feeling this and feeling that. And the funny thing about it is, I tell them, that's just feelings, though. Feelings change. Salute to you, Afro Samurai. Feelings change, though. So now, the downside to that agenda is, say you put a kid in that position like Dwayne Wade's son, who we're going to assume has never had sex because of his age. Who a few years ago, his wife was saying she wants those sons to date dark-skinned women in particular. Then a few years later, now she's taking him to a pride parade. Then subsequently after that, he's a girl. And then now he's a girl that likes, now he thinks he's a girl, or he believes he's a girl, but he's a girl that's not gay because he likes boys, but he sees himself as a girl. See, the downside to that agenda is this. Nobody cares how you see yourself. Your classmates aren't going to see you as a girl. See, the boys are not going to say, oh, man, Dwayne Wade's son is a cute girl because he thinks he's a girl now. No. The girls aren't going to say, you know what, he's a girl just like us because he decided he's a girl now. See, that's the downside of that agenda when you go on feelings. Josiah, salute to you, fam. Glad to see you here. So now that's a downside of that agenda, because now you want to create confusion, but you want everybody to be confused with you, and other people aren't going to do it. So what if the young dude changes his mind and I'm a boy again? Well, who's supposed to date him? Who's supposed to date some? Oh, you're a boy again. But okay, if a girl dates him when he decides to be a boy again, guess what? And then in the middle of that relationship, he decides I want to be a girl again. Guess what? It's ridiculous. Now, to add insult to injury, because the other thing about that is this narrative that everybody needs to live their truth. And the underlying message about the downside of that is when everybody wants to quote unquote live their truth, people in the gay community just somehow just think when you live your truth, you're going to come out gay somehow. Which again makes the agenda worse. Because it's like, really? It's nonsense. So now that's a whole nother problem. You know what I'm saying? Oh, wow. So now the downside to that is, some of the most violent people are in that community because of all the confusion, because they want you to, the people who aren't gay do not have to play the gay game with people. I don't call you none of it. I don't give a damn about your pronouns. I'm not going to call a dude ma'am. I'm not going to call a girl sir. I'm not doing it. So the downside of the agenda is I don't have to play this game with you. I don't have to take you seriously. You feel me? It is absolute confusion. Like, I don't have to take you seriously. I just don't. Now, you can go on Sesame Street in a tux dress and say, what's wrong with that? I can tell you a lot is wrong with that. A hell of a lot is wrong with that. Because you're not going to be in these kids. You're not going to be with these parents having to explain this to their kids, which is, by the way, makes the downside to the agenda worse, because now the parents are starting to look at it like, oh, okay, we tried to give you a pass because we're going to let adults do what adults do. But you seem to slowly be creeping your behind in the teenage and child spaces. See, I watch movies. One of the funniest movies last year to me was the movie Good Boys. The Good Boys, the little kids who was trying to go to the party. I don't know if y'all remember that, the trailer for it. When the kids was running across the freeway, we're sixth graders. That was a hilarious movie. It was like a kid's version of The Hangover and Superbad, right? But even in that movie, they had the little kid got a girlfriend for the first time, and then his girlfriend dumped him for another girl. That's like the sixth grade. You get what I'm saying? So you starting to push this too far. Cassandra, shout out to you. Salim, what's going on? James, salute. Careless, how you doing? You see, Careless know what I'm talking about. It was a great movie. Now, the downside of this other agenda, what I would say is race. The race agenda. See, the downside that I look at, it's Black History Month, so I'm gonna speak from a Black point of view, of course, because I'm Black, right? The downside to the racial agenda is you constantly see people trying to erase people out of history, but it's hard to erase people out of history now. And the funny part about these agendas is the funny thing about racial agendas is, truth be told, whatever group you demonize the most, which is normally us, is the group everybody wants to be the most. And people think it's a racial thing. I don't necessarily think it's a racial thing in that. But what I think is part of American culture is to root for the underdog. So who you make the most downtrodden group in America, they're going to be viewed as the underdog in America. So their successes are going to be amplified in America because they've been pushed down so far. You know, and when I say push down, yeah, people act like, you know, there's a big boogeyman of white supremacy over everything. No, it's not really that. What it is a bunch of people who agree to sabotage somebody. See, when you got teachers sabotaging students, when you got restaurant people, you know, being rude to customers, when you got people in public, when you go to the store, want to like it's a small thing. I went to the gas station today, and I was trying to pay for my stuff, and I pull out my card. The dude stands over my shoulder, and I hate people doing that, right? But I notice it's only people who do that is people who aren't black. Let me just put it like that. So I turned to the dude. I said, "Why so close?" Once I turn to look at him, say, "Why so close?" He just goes deaf and mute. See, but the agenda, you know, the downside of wanting to try to push up on everybody is you will get confronted with the reality. And the reality is, and it worked, and this is, as a man, I can tell you this works on men more so than women, because I'm not a woman. I can't speak for them. And what's happening to you, David? What's up with you? One of the things is this. When a man is openly into sabotaging another man or trying to push another man around, and he's faced with, okay, show me what you got then, since it's that serious, those men normally cower. And see, that's the downside of that, the racial agenda. You can only be a man behind a pen, a man behind a desk, a man behind the phone, if you can call somebody. You can only be a man in what you would consider to be a man in silence, you know, under the cloak of darkness. You'll say it's power, but truth be told, it's just fear personified, you know. So now we're at this point where the downside of the racial agenda is you don't become the man that you say you are. You're always a coward. And how you're a coward is you got to change history to make yourself look well. That's why, you know, when people talk about immigrant history and this, that, and the third, now, and everybody's immigrants, they put that in the school books maybe 2 years ago. But how do you see all these people who are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s now saying we're all immigrants? No, they've been on that code with, let me play this racial game. But like I said, one of the biggest downsides, if even that, is, see, when you play a racial game and that's your agenda to get ahead with your race, other people are going to be playing that racial game and they're going to get ahead of you. This is why you saw that whole movement of hold your nuts. This is why you see all these other groups of people they jump on the bandwagon and throw another group under the bus. And then when their group gets thrown under the bus, now they all hurt. Oh, but they expected somebody to come back with that, right? Kaitu, what's happening? You know? So now we're in this situation where now Asian people feel disrespected because of the coronavirus. Nigerians felt disrespected because of the travel ban. You know, of course, Arabs, all Middle Easterners felt disrespected because of 9/11. You know, since 9/11, right? You got white people who felt disrespected with the Tea Party, right? How you doing, Natalie? With the Tea Party. Then you got Hispanics, of course, felt disrespected, you know, with the Trump thing and the illegal immigration thing and the ICE thing. Oh my God, right? Jewish people somehow feeling disrespected by whatever goes on. I don't get it. You know, Native Americans was feeling disrespected with the pipeline situation. So now, see, it ain't no fun when a rabbit got the gun. See, when you all in with other groups to have your agenda met, because what is this about? It's really about money. But here's a problem that I was going back to about being the underdog, right? What winds up happening when you're the underdog, that is very simple. Okay. When you're the underdog, it's very simple. Your children might wind up having a hero in the group that you hate the most. So it'd just be like, if y'all remember Do the Right Thing, you know, Magic Johnson ain't white. Michael Jordan ain't white. Yeah, he is. All your heroes might be the very group that you hate the most. So now we have these situations where now your daughter's attracted to the group you hate the most. Your sons might wind up making babies with the group you hate the most, right? They might not claim them, but guess what? Now you might wind up with a Colin Kaepernick baby. You get what I'm saying? So that's what's going on. What's up, Ride? Third Ward, what's popping? Tiff. So now, on the flip side of that, because I gotta get on, I want to go talk about other groups and not talk about us. On the flip side about that, the pro-black agenda, there's a downside to the pro-black agenda. And this is one of the big issues sometimes, because the pro-black agenda is always looked at as the conscious community, or quote unquote the Hotep community, right? And the downside with that is, to have so much information and be so pro-black and say, the great things we did, to not have the type of people they can tell us all about our history and all about our present. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get to that one, Kai, too. I'll tell you my prediction at the end of this one, because I did it on our boxing podcast. But thank you, fam. But the pro-black agenda winds up looking like nonsense, because the agenda isn't necessarily about nothing. Happened, Dana. I mean, you let me know when you're ready. Like we can still do that tonight. I emailed you not too long ago. Sorry, I emailed Dana. We're gonna do the quote unquote show about the sex part, and I'm down for that. I just was doing something else in the meantime, between time, so that might wind up happening. So the thing about it is, with this pro-black thing, oh snap, I didn't know you replied, I'm sorry. So the guys in the pro-black agenda becomes futile, because what winds up happening is guys are pro-black and the women are pro-black, and they say things like it's the melanin content, because of the melanin in your skin, what we gonna do? So now I look at it like you're telling people that they're great because they're black and their skin tone makes them great alone. But everybody that you give into them, who history were actually people who have brilliant minds. So what are we talking about? We were kings and queens in Africa. Well, we don't know which tribes in Africa we came from, no way. So why are you telling us that, right? Or, we're gods and goddess, and here's the problem. Even with that, when they say we're God, and even the pro-black thing, it on one end it makes the men lazy by just saying you're a god, and another end it makes the women lazy and entitled, because they say the black woman is God, as if God and goddess, they had a male and female relationship. A goddess is still a god. So now you got women subconsciously thinking they're guys, which is ridiculous. But we don't look at it like that. So now the downside of that agenda is you're making lazy people, because they think they're just great people just because they exist and they got black skin. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. That becomes the problem. So now what we gonna do? Because now you're supposed to get A's and B's just because of your black skin. You're not supposed to study. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to be excellent at whatever you're supposed to be born excellent and nothing else just because of your skin tone. No, you got to put in the work. So that's the downside to me of that agenda. Is like we're not telling people how much work they got to put in to become successful. And what's up to you, Tiff? Trey Walk, what's happening? Cainster was good. Omega, salute. Now, I had to talk about that part because at the end of the day, we got to talk about the downside of the religious agenda. You know what I'm saying? The religious agenda is the same thing to a degree. Checking for you, what's up? Candace, how you doing? You know, because you got people who are religious, and a lot of American, which America is a majority Christian nation, but religion in America and a religious agenda in America is so perverted that nobody necessarily really believes in God anymore. Or we don't believe in God in the terms that America puts out, because so much dysfunction was done, you know, that you feel like God excused, you know, and people are benefiting, from evil lives and evil family histories, but they're going to say that they're blessed by God, you know, just blessed by God. You know, this money means God loves me. No, it doesn't. But because of your religious agenda is about actual getting people to do what you want. You know, God was an excuse in coming here. God was an excuse in wars with the Native Americans. God was an excuse for slavery. God was an excuse to uphold Jim Crow. God has been excused to if when women feel subjugated, God is an excuse for that. You get what I'm saying? Like God is an excuse. God has been an excuse for people being thieves in business, because you can always go to God for forgiveness. God is an excuse when it comes to criminal organizations like, you know, the mafia and so on and so forth. They go to church. They're highly religious. How can murderers, thieves, killers, you know, drug dealers be highly religious people? It makes no sense. It is complete, utter foolishness. You know, these people aren't religious. These people don't believe in God like that. But the agenda is to look upright and look, you know, you want to look like Jesus, but act like Judas. You know what I'm saying? Which becomes a problem. Tony, salute, fam. Actually, God is an excuse for the gay community, because they use God too. You telling me God won't love me? God loves everybody. God is an excuse. You know, so God becomes everybody's excuse, to the point that people who probably are actually godly people, who are probably an actual instrument of God, a vessel of God, see people who do things from a actual true God, a God loving space, they get turned off by religious people, because their religious doctrine is full of it. Not the religious doctrine, the way people use religious doctrine for their own purposes. You know, you use it for whatever you want to use it for. What's up, Jermaine? How you doing, Troy? You know, so now we're in this scenario where the agenda, the downside of the agenda is now you got to talk to, you know, you can only talk to the part of your congregation that's going to pay you, because now people have gotten so turned off. I'm not paying you anymore. See, you should know something is wrong with religion when you have this many mega churches, because people ain't going to be with God. People are going to be in the in crowd. See, the church became the quote unquote in crowd. The bigger the church, the bigger the in crowd you're in. But we don't look at it that way. What's happening with you, Paul? So now, the downside is that I'm not going to take you serious if you talk to me about religion. Because to be perfectly honest, and I've said this numerous times, most religious people never read their book. Most religious people I've come across have not read the Bible. If you're a Christian, most religious people who I've come across were Muslim did not read the whole Quran. See, this is the downside of something. Don't tell me you are actually a religious and spiritual person if you never read the book. That's like telling me you're a mathematician and you never read an algebra book. You never read a geometry book. You never read, you get what I'm saying? You never read a trigonometry book, but you're a mathematician. You only know, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and maybe exponents. But you're a math whiz. Oh, okay. Nobody talked to you about pi ever, huh? So now that becomes a problem. Now, speaking on religion, the downside of, so people don't take religion seriously anymore, is what I'm saying, because of all of these issues. Now, the next thing about that is this: class. See, there's a downside of these agendas when it comes to class: upper class, middle class, lower class. See, you tell the people in the lower class that with hard work and dedication, they can make it to the upper class. But what you don't tell the people is the probability. You tell everybody that they all have the ability to be special if you're in the upper class, knowing you're sabotaging you're sabotaging their success at almost every angle, because they don't know where the doors of opportunity are. You do. You tell the people in the middle class, that they're better than the people in the lower class because they live better. But at the same time, the people in the upper class have actuaries to basically make you higher class sharecroppers. So now, this is the downside of these agendas, is because what you did was you made the middle class and the lower class look at the upper class like, you know what? I'm gonna have to rob and steal my way from the lower class to the upper class. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna steal from the lower class and the middle class because I want to be in the upper class. Because see, they don't play that, even though they've set, those people in upper class positions are the people who pretty much set up all these shenanigans. Pretty much, they pretty much let all this stuff go the way it goes, and it's funny how those people are so out of touch. They're so out of touch with everybody else's reality. No, they're not. See, this is the thing. Don't let rich people say that they're out of touch with middle class and poor people's reality when they sit there making fun of middle class people and lower class people's reality. You can't say you out of touch with somebody and you laughing at them. You can't say you out of touch with somebody and you know how it feels to be in their position. You can't say that. So if you truly, didn't know what was going on, you wouldn't know how to. You would be like the stereotypical quote of Marie Antoinette: "Just let them eat cake." Like you would sound oblivious. Like, what, y'all ain't? Why don't you just get a Bentley? Like, it's not that serious. Why did you get a Hyundai? If I was you, I would have just got a Bentley. So now we got this issue. Okay. So now we at this particular point in life where the agenda is to get in the upper class. And why am I talking about this? Because what you see people marketing to an aspirational lifestyle. And what's up, Jazzy, Jana, Dallas Cowboys? What's up? So now you see people marketing to an aspirational lifestyle because don't you want to be rich? I'm rich. Don't you see me standing next to this car? Who the heck? I'm not stupid. That might not be your car. You could just be making a commercial. So now, because of this idea, what's happening with you, Grinch? Salute. Because of this idea that you want everybody to be an aspirational lifestyle, you skip something. And see, the downside of the agenda of class is you skip the fundamental steps to how to do business. You tell people how to get rich, but you don't tell them how to do business. And you want them to pay you to show so you can show them how to get rich, but you don't show them how to do business, which creates another class of people who are like, you know what? I'm gonna kill somebody. And now you got people trying to make easy money, try to do it easy ways. And this is what we think getting rich is. Let me take a easy out, because it's easy money makes money. It's like, okay, and now you're not a good person unless you hit a certain number. So until you hit that certain number, I can't trust your reality. Who are you? You a nobody. What kind of car you got? You're a nobody. What kind of house you got? You're a nobody. What kind of clothes you wearing? You're nobody. What kind of watch is that? You're nobody. See, you don't have enough money to tell me anything. So now you're not a human being because of your class, or you are a human being because of your class. And then you get these same idiots going abroad, going traveling everywhere to find the meaning of life while they're telling you your life isn't worth anything. This is ridiculous. But the reason I talk about that is because of the next thing. This is everything it becomes political, because your class is political, because your group and your class might be political. So guess what we need to do? We need to leverage, your class and your group in politics. Leverage it. Do you feel less than? Join my group. You got assets you want to protect? You don't want those people to get close to your assets? Come to my group. You know what? I got a referenda. I got an agenda that'll get you out of this situation, or I got an agenda, a referendum that's going to keep you in this situation. So which one you going to choose? All I need you to do is vote for me. Oh, my bad. Not just vote, And since you voted for me and I'm in this position, don't you got like a super PAC? You got any donors out here? Because I could fast track your agenda if you just happen to put some money into my campaign. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. It's fund my campaign. I'll get you anything you need. So now, but what's the downside to that agenda? Because what did they say about politics is grassroots. Well, what happens when the grass and the roots in particular, stop believing that you're going to politically do anything for them? They're going to stop voting, right? But that doesn't matter to you, because you don't need that many votes anyways if people stop voting. All you need is to get in. That's all you need. Cocoa butter, what's happening? So now your political stance is a little bit wavery, because now you're going to pick the person who's going to get what you want right now. But what can the person get you long term? That's what you don't know. And now you can't trust them and their word, because guess what? They're a prostitute. They're saying that to everybody. They're going to get everybody something at some point. And guess what that means? They never told you a specific date. They never told you a specific day. Now you just got to go on belief, hope, and change. So what happens when you fall out of love with hope and change? You start saying, okay, politics ain't going to get it. I can't get it because of my class. You know, what do I need to do? What can I do? Am I stuck? And you pretty much, in some ways, are. But nobody wants to tell you that. You know, so what winds up happening is you wind up voting against somebody else's success. Because I can tell, because if I vote for this, you're going to succeed. If I vote for that, you're going to succeed. How about I vote for absolutely neither one, and I oppose both of y'all, because if I can't succeed, y'all ain't going to succeed. So what you have, what? Divide and conquer, right? But the question is, who's benefiting? And see, that's the downside of the political agenda. Nobody knows who's benefiting, so people are starting to check out. Nobody's seeing any real change with anything, so people are starting to check out. You're seeing more and more people taking it into their own hands. You shouldn't trust big government. Big government, what you got a government for if it ain't going to do nothing? If the people got to do more than the government, you know what's going to wind up happening? They're going to back out. We don't need a government. And that's when people say, we do need a government, you know, which it becomes interesting to me. It becomes very interesting to me because now you have people in political positions who don't do anything but work for what? Corporations. So now you're looking at it like, okay, my name ain't Amazon. My name ain't Apple. My name ain't Walmart. You know what I'm saying? My name ain't JP Morgan Chase. My name ain't Bank of America. My name ain't Nike. My name ain't Reebok. My name is not Chevrolet. My name is not Ford. So where do I fit in? You know what I'm saying? My name is not Kelsey Sebold. What, you know, I don't have a corporation backing my what I need in my community. So what am I going to do? My name isn't Home Depot. So what am I going to do? My name isn't NFL. What are we going to do? So now you keep getting to the political process. And now what you see is a bunch of people arguing, you know, in the Senate, who work maybe 3 days a week. They sit there in a chair, argue, get nothing done. And now you're looking at them like, oh, that's a good cushy job. You can make 6 figures, not do a damn thing. All I got to do is figure out how to get people to vote for me, and I could be lazy just like y'all and take business, corporate money and live a life now. Okay, this is what we doing. This is the new old hustle. You know what I'm saying? So that's the downside to me of the political agenda. Nobody's gonna, somebody looks at a politician, nobody looks at a politician like, oh, okay, this is a stand-up individual. Politicians are looked at worse than drug dealers. What's going on, Angela? Now, the reason I talk about that is because, you know, I'm gonna get to the economic part. I may or may not. I don't know. But I get to that because the downside of the agenda is, because of these things, you have people who have an anarchist mindset. Now their agenda is anything goes. So what? It's the wild, wild west. Let it all be. Just do whatever you want to do. It's all a hustle. It's all a scam. Do whatever you want. You could just go. Just screw whatever. Screw it all. Screw all the realities. Screw all the principles. Screw all the facts. We just gonna go get it. Get it how you live. Nothing can happen to you. But see, you know, I'm an atheist. Now I'm sexually liberated. Now, you know, I'm a venture capitalist. Now I'm just a capitalist. Now I'm a hustler. Now, you know, okay. You know, now I'm using the church as a business to come up. Okay. But so what winds up happening is, you want to be an anarchist until anarchy hits your front door, though. See, you want it to be a free-for-all, but you want a little white picket fence around your little front door, your little family. You want the purge, but you don't want the purge to come to your house. You want to be out there purging, but you don't want the purge to come to your front door. So now you want to be an anarchist. You love being an anarchist. You You creating enemies and burning bridges because of all of these things. And because guess what? I'm a rebel. I could break the rules. I'm a rogue. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Okay. All right. Nobody can tell you nothing. I was raised to speak my mind and say whatever I feel. And it is what it is. Okay. I'm a feminist. Can't no man tell me, okay. I'm gay. You can't oppress me. You homophobic. Okay. I'm black. I'm white. It's racism. It's reverse racism. Okay. I'm Christian. I'm Muslim. Okay. I'm rich. You can't talk to me like that. I can do what I want. Okay. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. You can't talk to me. I'm a cop. I'm a fireman. Do you know who I am? I'm a lawyer. Okay. I'm gonna tell you what's about to happen then. Since you all of these great things, and I'm just always supposed to, you always above the law. You always gotta out. Well, this is what's gonna happen. You gonna, life, the law can't protect you everywhere. God can't protect you everywhere. Your race can't protect you everywhere. Your money can't protect you everywhere. Your gender can't protect you everywhere. Your parents can't protect you everywhere you go, and even though they taught you that stuff. So since you're such an anarchist, well, guess what? It's time to enjoy this smoke you about to get. You should love it. You should feel like a Viking. Like it should be exhilarating, right? But nobody really wants the anarchy no more. That's when all these people start calling on Jesus and calling the police and calling on the government and calling on chivalry. And you're supposed to be a man. You're supposed to be a woman. You're supposed to be a good person. You're supposed to be a Christian. You're supposed to love love thy neighbor. No. You're anarchist, remember? We're not doing all that. Thug, what's going on? How you doing? Exactly. No space. So, now we got this situation where it's all good. It's all good. Everything goes. Everything goes all the time, anytime, and it's going down. But then you realize, oh, okay. I'm the dog that jumped off the porch, but what you never thought about was you what kind of dog you was, and they got wolves out here. That little bark ain't gonna get you nowhere. Salute to you, Dollar Washer. So if you want to be an anarchist, so go for it. Go for it. But that means you at risk. If you got a wife, your wife at risk. If you got a husband, your husband at risk. If you got kids, your kids at risk. Your pets at risk. Your goldfish ain't safe. Somebody just gonna be sitting in your house, feet on the coffee table, like Charlie Murphy, like Rick James. Fuck your couch. It's, oh my God, that's them. No, that's you too. And some of us know what I'm talking about because, you get people who jump too fly, and it's like, okay, I got you. Let's see how fly you're gonna get. Now, the last thing I'm gonna talk about, the downside of all these agendas is, how can I say this? Because I was going to do economic, but I did class. The downside of this non-traditional agenda. See, everybody wants to do everything the new way, the new age way. This is you ain't got to do it like that. That's old school. That's old school. Well, here's the problem. Everything that's new school don't work. You got a smartphone, but you're a dumb person. But having a smart mind is old school. See, that's the downside of this non-traditional agenda. You don't want to have a traditional family model, but guess what? Society is built off of a traditional family model. So nobody's going to change the society model of the whole social structure of society because you want to do something different. So you're going to be on your own. Cool, gent. What's going on, fam? See, the roads is just like every road has a speed limit. If you go above the speed limit and you get into a wreck, you're at fault because you wasn't even driving the speed limit. So even if another person, might have made a move that caught you off guard, you was going too fast. You shouldn't have been going that fast anyways. You shouldn't have been, tailgating people. You shouldn't have been swerving from side to side. Guess what? You wanted to be non-traditional, but you're going to get what? Traditional consequences. This is the problem. How you doing, Dion? That's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna be out for here maybe about 5 minutes, so you can catch it if you want, vulnerable. But traditional, you want to be non-traditional. You want to have non-traditional relationships. Oh, I'm sorry, situationships. Oh, I'm sorry, we just dating. Oh, I'm sorry, we just kicking it. Oh, I'm sorry, we just friends. Oh, I'm sorry, we just hang out. Oh, well, how come we not committed? Well, that's something that's traditional, dummy. See, that's the downside of you want to be so non-traditional. I want to settle down and be real now. Get out of here. What's going on, honey? Mrs. Muhammad, how you doing? Casper, what's good? Oh, yeah, you're right. And don't forget, it's complicated. So now you want to be so non-traditional. Matter of fact, you want to spend you don't want to save because that's non-traditional. You don't want to pay bills properly because that's non-traditional. You don't want to put money aside. You don't want to invest. That's non-traditional. That's non-traditional. We got new ways to do stuff. So now, and here's the weird part about it. If there are some new age things that work great, and it's no problem to get involved in those new age things. But don't you think you need to have a traditional backup plan? Oh no, you're just gonna throw all caution to the wind and be stupid. Because I remember something. I think Mark Cuban was talking about this because it was like, because this is what I mean by how people lie to you straight up. It was like he said, well, if a person starts a business and they get a loan, Mark Cuban said, if you start a business on a loan, you're an idiot. This is what he said. You're an idiot. He said, because the business may or may not work. There's plenty of businesses you can start with zero to no money. But but the one thing that's for sure is if you got a loan, what do you constantly have to do? Pay back that loan. What's up, Miss Gigi? She gonna be here in a couple of hours. We're gonna do it in about an hour. I think 8 o'clock her time, 9 o'clock her time, so in an hour. We'll be back. But since it's stupid to get a loan, why are the banks giving out loans? When you hear all these business people who got money, how did they wind up with money? They got loans. Oh, but who did they get these loans from though? Their family, their traditional family. Yeah, they forgot about that part. My dad gave me money. My granddad gave me money. My grandmother gave me money. My mother gave me money to invest so I could start my business. Roger Report. Thank you, fam. This is the issue that we never want to, we don't, that people don't talk about because of this agenda. This agenda is to say, oh, let's just do everything non-traditional. But these successful people have been doing things the traditional way. The business model is a traditional business model. The hard work and the outworking people is a traditional thing. The reading more to be smarter than people is a traditional thing. The raising kids in a two-parent household, or not necessarily just a two-parent household, but in it with the two families together, is a traditional thing. So most of these successes you see in society, the anomalies are from a wide range of circumstances. But even when those successful people from those anomaly situations become successful, what do they wind up doing? Becoming traditional in something. Either they have a traditional family, they go back to traditional spending, they don't overdo it, they go back to, guess what, generational wealth and inheritance and passing down wealth. Guess what? They're very traditional when it comes to that stuff. Oh, I want my kids and my grandkids to have something. They're not so non-traditional. And nowadays they can be all tattooed up, grilled up, and looking like, oh man, this is, I'm looking like I'm straight out the streets. Their mind ain't in the streets though. Their mind is in tradition and what works. And like one of y'all said earlier, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So now we're in these situations where I wonder what's going on. Thanks, social. Thank you, fam. So now we're in these situations where we're not thinking about, all of these agendas have a downside to them. But I'll say this, and the reason I'm making this is also because of all these downsides. The downside of all these agendas is to make sure you never succeed. To get so bogged up in everybody else's agenda, because all of these other agendas, somebody is profiting from. Believe that. Somebody profits from the parenting agenda. That's what child support is for. Somebody profits from the feminist agenda. That's why, that's what female empowerment is for. Somebody is profiting from the gay agenda. That's why all of this stuff is on all these platforms. Somebody is profiting from the race agenda. That's why we call them race pimps or race peddlers. Somebody is profiting off of the pro-black agenda. That's why we call people hotep hustlers. Somebody is profiting off the religious agenda. That's why we call these pastors scam artists. Somebody profits off the class agenda. You know what I'm saying? That's why what do you call those life coaches and motivational speakers? They're trying to get you into another class. Somebody profits always off the political agenda. That's what politics is about. And truth be told, people profit off of that anarchist mindset, because guess what they do? I'm going to sell you this and you're going to go against the system and you're going to be off the grid. And oh my God, and you're going to get locked up, or you're going to get so many charges, you're going to wind up having fines up the wazoo that you got to pay off. Somebody getting paid for that. Lawyers get paid for that. Doctors get paid for that, because you're so off the reservation, you lost your damn mind. So now we're going to stop playing this game. Now I'm done with this topic, but earlier they put up a thing about Fury or Wilder. Truth be told, I believe that Fury is going to knock Wilder out early if he sticks to his game plan. Because I think Fury is trying to start infighting and wrestling with Wilder, because Wilder can't fight inside. He needs his space. So I think he's trying to make it a close brawl in the inside. That's what I think. Now, if that don't work, he get knocked out quick. Like that first 2 rounds, I think he's going to try to be grabbing and holding, wrestling, infighting, short shots. And hopefully he get him with a short shot that rock him, because actually Fury is a better inside fighter than Wilder. And he's bigger. So Wilder is not a good body puncher. You never see him punch to the body. So I think he's trying to nullify that. But if that don't work, because Wilder is very strong, so if Wilder could just push him off and then set an actual distance, he's gonna knock Fury out. But I think it's gonna be a smother fight. If anybody remember Ali and I think Spinks, it's either Spinks or Norton, when he was just all over him, that's what he's gonna try to do. So I'm done with this one. Thank y'all for coming. Catch y'all on the next one. We're gonna come back with the ladies tonight about the sex thing. So cool.